Yes. Good morning, everyone. We are so glad that you are here. Today, we have our monthly education workshop for Vend, Raleigh, and this month's topic is mental health and self-care. And we were just discussing the fact that I think that these lessons we're going to have today are much needed, not only for everyone who is joining us, but jokingly also for us leaders and those who are teaching and speaking for us today. I think that, no matter where you are at in life, just being able to kind of check in with yourself, whether you think you're having a fabulous day, but still making sure that you can check in and keep all of those mental and physical things in check so that you can keep doing well, but at the same time be aware that when things start to turn a little bit so that you're not having the best of days, that that you can sit there and use these same types of practices to make sure that you can keep yourself on a trajectory that is at least always staying and going slightly up, right? I think that's always the goal, to stay where you are and keep going slightly up and just try not to dive down. You guys, I'm really excited because the two people that we have speaking for us today are women that I admire so very dearly and have been amazing people that on my journey of keeping my mental health in check have been wonderful people that have helped me do that. We have Christy Johnson here today, who is going to be sharing about those ideas of self-care, and she has a little slogan for you, which I'm not going to ruin it, but it's amazing. That will stick in your head with you as far as taking care of yourself. And then we also have Dr. Brooke, who is here and is going to be sharing tips on how taking care of your physical body is just as important when it comes to your mental health. So just to let you guys know, so we have a handful of events coming up this month, just so you can jot them down on your calendar. We have our workshops. Going forward, they're going to be still staying towards the first Monday of each month, the first Monday of the first week of each month. Those will be at 10 a.m. and starting next month, fingers crossed, we are going to be going in person. We'll be here at Studio 557, and then we'll also be able to live stream as well for those who are not able to make it here in person, or because we have capacity limits with COVID. So hopefully we'll have that. That will be going into next month. Then later on this month, at the end of the week, we have our first community chat of the month. And this one I'm excited about. For those of you who have started using Clubhouse, haven't used Clubhouse, we are moving community chats on over there. And the idea is it is an amazing platform where you don't have to show up this way. It is audio only, and it is fabulous. And I have not still dived into it as deep with business, but just for personal stuff, I really enjoyed. So Joanne Wetzel on this Thursday at 2 p.m. is going to be teaching us on Clubhouse how to use Clubhouse, because we have to learn how to use it first. So we're going to be doing that on this Thursday, the 13th at 2. And then we have another community chat later on this month on Thursday, the 20th at 12, and that will be on our monthly topic. And then at the end of the month, we also have our Better Together networking event. That will be Wednesday, the 26th at noon via Zoom. And fingers crossed, next month, that is most likely one of the ones that will be going in person as well. So we'll see how the month goes. We'll see how everything goes, but that's what we got going on. And then the last big thing is we have our Branding Express experience at the end of the month, which I am so excited about. So if you need new headshots, you better sign up, because this is a heck of a deal. You are going to not only get all of the tips and tricks of exactly how to prepare for your session, but then you are going to be able to come in, options for hair and makeup, full styling. We're sending out videos every single week for tips of how to get ready. And then you will have 3 beautiful new headshots to enjoy. So that is on May 28th, and those sessions are starting at 10 a.m. You can find all the details for all of the events at vendraleigh.com/events. All right, there's the housekeeping stuff. You got to join us all month. We got lots of stuff going on. But I'm excited because now it is time for Dr. Brooke. And personally, I just always love listening to her speak, because every time she speaks, I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. And it's always like constant light bulb moments when you speak. So Brooke, I am so excited to have you here, and I am going to go ahead and give you the floor and take myself off. All right, girl, all about you. Go.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for just having me. I am extremely excited to talk to everyone today. And so I'll get started with my PowerPoint. Is everybody seeing the screen? Yeah. Awesome. So I kind of wanted to brush up on a topic. You go to the doctor, your labs look great. There's nothing wrong with you. Yet you're exhausted, you can't sleep, you're on the verge of screaming at your kids and crying all at the same time. I think we've all kind of maybe been there. I know I have. And it's just letting you know that there can be physiological imbalances that are affecting your mood and your energy that you're just not aware of just because of what's going on in your life. And so I just wanted to let everyone know a little bit more about these physical imbalances that can cause these emotional, symptoms, actually. So let's go ahead and get started. There we go. So different moods, symptoms, conditions that are actually related to physical changes in the body, things like depression, anxiety, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, restless legs, insomnia, that feeling of inner rage, fibromyalgia, tension headaches, that feeling of dread. I'm dreading when my kids come home because you now have to, go do, help them with all of their needs. Everything from sadness, even addictions, all of these different things can be caused by physiological deficiencies or insufficiencies or imbalances in the body. So when you're in this spot or in this place of, you're stressed out, you've got anxiety, you're not sleeping, keep in mind, it may not just be a psychological issue. There are things going on in the body that can cause this, or deficiencies in very popular vitamins and minerals. And again, we don't get a lot of that from our food because our food is overly processed and it doesn't come from the best of soil anymore. We're not fertilizing like we need to be. And so some of these imbalances can cause a lot of the moods that you're having. And, you go to the doctor because you're not feeling well and your hair's maybe falling out, you're gaining weight, you're tired all the time, or you've got pain. They run a basic lab panel and they tell you, oh, everything looks great. There's nothing wrong with you. And you're like, okay, then it must be in my head. Like, so I must be crazy, must be in my head. And that's the biggest thing that people come into me, and we start talking about things and whatnot. I also run, a plethora of labs. And when we go into looking at labs, I do an expansive amount of labs. And what is great is I'm like, this is why you're feeling this way. This is why you're feeling this way. Your vitamin D is deficient. That's all sort of mood. That's all sort of, immune function. And they look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. There is something going on. And, the standard medical pathway, they just aren't aware. They're never taught this kind of information in school. So they don't know how to look at things differently. When they, for instance, run a thyroid panel, that thyroid panel has maybe 2 or 3 levels on it. And the one that they tend to focus on is a thyroid stimulating hormone, which is actually a pituitary hormone. With thyroid, there's 24 different basically 24 different ways it can be, imbalanced. And if we don't run an entire thyroid panel of about 10 different levels, well, then I can't tell you exactly what's going on with the thyroid. And had I, just run those 2 or 3 levels, many people's thyroid conditions would have been completely missed. So again, it's a different way to look at the body because again, our goal is to restore the body, fill those gas tanks back up so that your body can function normally as it's supposed to. And then from there, optimize it, just because you have a, iron anemia that you're no longer anemic, well, you're still not in optimal levels. And that's what functional medicine looks at is how can we optimize your levels so you're feeling fantastic? I'm not looking for, okay, you're within the range. I'm looking for, I feel awesome. My numbers are great. I've got the energy to go out and, rule the world. And it's identifying those imbalances to help people get where they need to go. And that's one thing that, no one ever taught me, no one told me that this stuff was going on until I got into chiropractic. I got into the functional medicine. I got into the nutrition piece and part of it because I was like, oh, here's your pills and we'll see you in a month. And I'm like, these didn't do anything for me. I was put on antidepressants and I literally was walking around like a zombie. And, I'm like, that's just not, that doesn't work. How can we fix a problem and then, move past it so I can go enjoy things? Other things that people don't really even think about, as far as, adrenal imbalances. You're not able to sleep at night. Your muscles are really tight. Insulin resistance and leaky gut. That insulin resistance is by far one of the biggest reasons for depression out there, because again, our blood sugar is not handling things appropriately. We don't need insulin to get sugar to our brain. And when we're insulin resistant, those sugar levels are higher. So all that sugar is going straight to our brain. We get brain fog. We get tired, exhausted. There's sugar cravings. So, just blood sugar regulation, sex hormone imbalance, loss of libido, vaginal dryness, guys, that's all a sign that there's some adrenal stuff going on. And it's basically robbing you of your sex hormones. You shouldn't be having, extremely heavy and painful periods. That is not normal. There are things that cause that. So let's figure that out. And another one that's, becoming more and more dear to my heart is just brain degeneration. And I'm telling you, ladies, this stuff starts now. I just turned 40. I have been having quite a bit of brain, just forgetting things, not as sharp as I was used to. I have the gene for Alzheimer's, and because of that, I'm more predisposed to it. However, I know what I need to do in order to optimize my levels. So Alzheimer's is blood sugar related. It is thyroid related. It is adrenal related. It is so many things that, again, I ran all of those labs that a standard doctor wouldn't, and my thyroid was low. I mean, my hair is falling out in clumps. It's not supposed to do that, ladies. If you're getting a handful of hair and you're sticking it on the wall and driving your husband crazy, that's not normal. We need to fix that. I had another female come in and she's having some significant memory issues. We ran her labs, and sure enough, the labs to be optimal for Alzheimer's were all in the toilet. This stuff is happening now. You may be calling it mom brain, or, I'm just really tired, or I'm just really stressed. Guys, this is legit brain degeneration starting right now. And it's identifying, okay, let's fix all the pieces that are broken. And then let's change our lifestyle so that we can, fix this. And, I don't want to see this happen to everyone. And I know moms, for one, and business owners, we have a lot on our shoulders, because it's not just running the business. It's also, taking care of the kids, doing the laundry, as we were talking early, cleaning the house, doing all the things. And then, you throw this thing called COVID in, and oh my gosh, you now have 15 more things that you have to do and worry about, both with your business, your family, and just everything as a whole in society. And I don't know about you guys, but I moved twice cross country during a pandemic. And that's how I got into this situation where I am right now, where my thyroid is in the tank, where I felt like I was bipolar. My husband's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's because all of my physiological levels were completely off due to the stress that I was undergoing. And, we all just went through that as far as this last year. So, if you are having some of these signs and symptoms, and this can be fixed. It can be, changed. And here's just some information as far as just different vitamin and mineral deficiencies that could absolutely be affecting your energy and mood. Number one is just a vitamin D deficiency. Of the patients that come in, I would say 90% of them are deficient or very borderline deficient in vitamin D. And that is huge for mood, energy, bone health, immune function, your GI. Same thing goes for vitamin B. We do not have enough B vitamins in our body, or you may have a genetic snippet that you don't metabolize them or break them down appropriately. So you have to have a certain kind of B vitamin in order to, improve your body and optimize it. Iron deficiencies, vitamin C deficiencies, omega-3 fatty acids is huge for brain health. Anyone comes in with anxiety and depression, we're putting you on an omega-3. Your brain is basically one big fish oil. And guess what? All the cells in your body are basically an omega-3 fatty acid, and that's huge for your brain health, cell health, and inflammation. We also are going to check some other things like bacterial load or viral load. Lots of people have Epstein-Barr virus, which is the virus that causes mono. Guess what? That can reactivate later in life whenever you're going through stressful times. And it can basically, make your body more reactive. Things like chronic fatigue, pain syndromes. They can also cause cancer. HPV, herpes, cytomegalovirus, Lyme's disease is a tick-borne illness. Alpha-gal is again a tick-borne illness that you actually develop an allergy to red meat, suppresses the immune system. And then autoimmunity. I mean, our body just basically begins to attack itself. And, I have actually found quite a bit of autoimmunity towards thyroid especially, and no one even knows about it. It's basically in a dormant stage. It's not affecting, thyroid labs. And it's not until I say, okay, we lucked out. We found this. Now we've got to fix this. So before you start having those symptoms and whatnot. And if we can do that, and I can help teach people about their body and how their body works. Because I don't know about you guys, I did not get my user manual when I was born. that did come with the diapers. So, and everyone's different. And that's, my job, and this is what I'm very passionate about, is helping everyone identify, what's going on in their body and how we can, restore it, first of all, and then optimize it, so that we are, feeling like we're living on top of the world. And guess what? For all the moms out there, your kids have the same or very similar genes. So they're going to be experiencing many of the same things. And so if you can learn about your body, you can help them with their body as they grow. I mean, I know already my daughter's going to be more on the autoimmune side of things, like my husband. My son, he's a rock star. But he's got sugar issues. He loves sugar. So that's one of the things I've got to watch with them. They're both gluten-free and just about dairy-free. And that helps them tremendously with their skin. Guess what? Mom can't eat gluten and dairy either. So again, it's helping the whole family. And then just top 10 tips, just improve your overall mind and body. If you are experiencing, a lot of mental health, symptoms or energy symptoms, just things that you can just try on your own. Eating lots of organic fruits and vegetables. Get rid of the processed food. Wean off of coffee. Wink, wink, Kim. Trust me on this. Coffee just wears those adrenals out. So if you've been burning the candle at both ends, that's just going to push the gas even harder on your adrenals. So it's one of those things, just ease off. That's going to help with anybody having panic attacks as well. Ease off the coffee. Get some more water in there. Wearing blue light blocking glasses while using electronics, and always after 6 p.m. to just downregulate that light effect on the brain. It stimulates it, and that's what winds us up real tight. And then, we're at the edge of the road or at the edge of the cliff, and all of a sudden the smallest little bump comes and boom, we're off the edge, just kind of freaking out. We don't want that. Also, no electronics 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Shoot for 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Get outside and play in the sun. Get your vitamin D. Epsom salt bath before bed. That's going to help with your magnesium, going to help you relax. Rediscover your passion and creativity. This one is key, and I think Christy's going to talk a little bit more on some of this as well. When I work in my craft room, which I just recently am finishing up here, for 3 days, I feel like $1 million. I have no pain. I have energy off the charts. Everything's going well. Like, my world just changes. And I've noticed this in the past when I went to say and painted a sign at one of the businesses here locally. I had no pain or inflammation for 3 days. Guys, this is so key in our world. Like, go find what are you passionate about? What are you creative? Go find it. We forget that as a mom and a female that's, in business, because everything else comes before us. Go get your passion. Practice that creativity. Strengthen your family and social circles. We've been on lockdown for a year, guys. That does not help our mental health whatsoever. Get out, go see some friends, chat. It's just necessary. However you have to do it. If you have to do a Zoom or you can meet them in person, do it. And then lastly, just drink half your body's weight in water each day. That's just going to help your body, detoxify all of the harmful toxins that we're exposed to, and also just get the nutrients in and the waste out of the body. And if you are, curious about what's going on with your health, I have a free health score tool. You can find this at brookviewwellness.com underneath the functional medicine website, or you can scan this QR code. see what your score is. It's going to give you a list that tells you, kind of where you lie and give you a grade. And then if you're interested in having a discovery call with me to see if functional medicine is something that would benefit you, sign up for a discovery call. I have a coupon called Vend Raleigh 21, and that'll get you a free discovery call with me. And you'll fill out a form beforehand. You get a little mini course on how functional medicine works. And then we get to sit down and actually talk about you and how, or what I think may be going on and how we can address that. So I guess that's it for me, Amber. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, brookviewwellness.com, contact us page. It's great.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I got my water. Okay. So just you pipe down there. So I've seen you before, obviously, and I'm having reoccurrence of issues that have come back. I think because of 2020, obviously I'm doing things wrong that I need to change. But when my metabolism is off and things are happening, I know I have to make adjustments, but I think there's stuff going on that I'm unaware of. What blood work do I need to get done before I could have a meeting with you so you can look at it? How does that work?
So we can set up an appointment. We can run your blood labs so that, how I would do it with you, Kim, is we decide which labs you need. Okay. We ran this last time with you.
Yeah.
We would just run that same panel and identify any changes or any differences. And then we would set that plan up just to make sure that there's nothing else going on. There are some other things too. There might be some additional adrenal labs that we run, again, just to check some different things, possibly some hormonal ones as well, depending on whatever the symptomology is. So I have access to run all those. And then what I do for labs is once I get the results back, I actually put a video together for everyone and I send that to you. So you can watch it over and over again and not forget what I tell you on that lab, but then, you have it. And then I keep a spreadsheet. And then when we rerun labs, we can then kind of create a graph and, okay, this is how you were feeling and this is what was going on. Again, better identifying what the problem was so that when we're in these situations again, it's time for me to probably take some more of this and this and this back, get that back into my day-to-day so that I can kind of clean things up for a little bit. And it's completely normal to do those little bitty resets, every few months, just to kind of, again, get yourself back in order and give your body what it needs.
So what's the first step? I don't know how do I go and order labs? Is that what I do first, or do I meet with you first?
You'll meet with me first. That way we can together collaboratively figure out which labs are most necessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I just do that through your website?
Yeah. So just, I'll actually message you with exact links and stuff, Kim.
Okay.
But if you're a new patient to Brookview, you would set up for that discovery call. So that's how that would get started as far as a new patient goes. With Kim, there's a few different steps, but yeah, I'll reach out to you, hon.
By the way, my son he's the one being homeschooled, so he's here, and you're like listing all those things. He comes over, he's like, Mom, she just pointed out all the things you do wrong. I was like, who invited you? I was like, thanks.
Well, it's common, and it's very common in females. And, we take on so much in our family. And so it does happen.
Well, things are going great. And then we all know what happened. So
yes, exactly. Then we have those days. You're like,
a year. We have those years. So 360
exactly. Agreed. I'm with you there, sweetie.
It has been a year indeed. And yes, just like Kim is saying, I too, let me tell you, Brooke, I think I definitely need to come and get labs done again soon, because I think, what was it, 2019 that I last saw you? And yeah, as Kim said, 2020 needs no explanation. And I think it's really interesting because, when I sat down with you the first time and I listed all the things that were wrong, and you were like, oh, well, have you ever thought about this? Or do you have an issue with this? And I'm like, I do have an issue with this. You're like, well, yeah, that goes because of this. And it was, again, like I said, all of these light bulb moments went off of, every single one of these is connected, and tiny little shifts in behaviors or, you know, your vitamin intakes or anything can make such a huge shift mentally. When you change those tiny things physically, they have this almost chain reaction in your body. And you guys know it's been a crazy last year, and for us, and even the last 6 months over here. But yeah, thank you for the reminder of those lists. Kim, you can tell the little man that yes, I too was going, oh yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And just to point out the awesomeness of Brooke, I like have a blood clotting disorder that every doctor was like, oh yeah, no big deal, just take B vitamin. And I was like, okay, cool. But when I went and talked to you, I literally had no clue. Of course, they were all male doctors I had gone to, but I had no clue. Like, it is not a big deal, but it's a huge deal to hormones, especially to as I turned 40 and now into my 40s. I literally had no clue the effect that it had on my body. And that was eye-opening. I was like, yeah, so, okay, this isn't a big deal. And then it was, well, actually,
so big.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Brooke. So I
You're
think
welcome.
your reminder was all of us need to keep ourselves in check. And for those of us who have been previous patients of yours, we need a update refresh. And if you have never considered functional medicine, do yourself a favor, at least go take the quiz that Brooke has. Brooke, is that the same one that I took when I went through your new system? It was like
it's going to be very similar to that one. Yep.
But it was like this list of questions really does make you think and makes you think about the connections between how you feel mentally and what that means physically in your body and how those all work together. So if you've never tried it, just do yourself a favor, go take the quiz. How long does it take, Brooke?
The quizzes, so the first, not even 5 minutes, 10 minutes max.
Yeah, it doesn't take long at all.
Yeah.
Just go do it. See if you can make those connections. See if you check off any of those tick boxes and say, go call Brooke if you need some help. Thank you, ma'am. You are amazing. And I really, really appreciate you sharing with us today.
And thank you. Happy to help.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat too, ladies. I gotta remind myself to do those things too.
You
so
are constantly changing yours. I love it. You are where you are because you needed what you do, and then you became passionate about what you do.
Yes.
And that's why I love it.
Yes.
All right, now are we ready to hear?
Pillow. That was a good quote.
What's that?
You guys sew that quote on a pillow. That was good.
Oh, I'll call up Wendy. We'll put it on a magnet.
Yeah,
but I'll have to go
like
watch
that
the
magnets.
I don't remember what I said.
That's it. I see a whole line. I like
Agreed.
that.
All right. So you know what? Speaking of learning from experience, oh, Miss Christy Johnson, I am so excited to have her here today because she is going to be preaching to you from a place of experience. I believe when Christy sent me her bio, it says Christy Johnson is a wife, a mom, and a former workaholic, to which on all the promos, I'm like, self-proclaimed. She said it, y'all, not me. She said it. But I have known Christy and have been so grateful to have you as a part of my life for so long. But I remember these times that you're referencing when you're like, so I've been through this and I've been through these times and I've struggled through these. And I think what is beautiful is that Christy turned this super, super hard time in her life where all of a sudden she felt like everything was out of control, but she didn't realize that she was doing things wrong until it was kind of way so far down the road, which I think so many of us are. We don't realize how deep we are into it until we're so deep into it that it feels like it's impossible to get back out of. So I love what Christy has done is she has changed the passion that she has, not only for photography, which she still does because I still love your work, but she has changed it into this passion of truly trying to take care of women entrepreneurs who, us as moms, you know, we have that complex of we have to do it all and we have to do it all perfectly. And if we fail, you know, in business, then what happens with our kids? And, you know, like we can never be perfect in all of the places. So what I love about Christy is she comes at it with just a place of compassion of like, hey, she's going to teach you how to do your best, how to recognize these things. And oh, I cannot wait. We already talked about so many things on the phone, just talking about what we were going to share today. And so I cannot wait for what Christy has to share with you guys today. So Christy, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself first? Introduce you, where you kind of that progression of where you were and now where you are at and where you are going, because this is a truly exciting one and I am excited for everyone to hear from you too.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, well, I have been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember and a mom for longer than that. And what Brooke said before about, having like wearing all the hats and having to do all the things as a mom and as a business owner, it's a lot. You hear the mental load of motherhood, but there's also a mental load of entrepreneurship as well. And a lot of times those two roles really try to compete against each other. And then we end up not taking care of ourselves. And that's when our health really starts to decline. And I lived that. I'm like the poster child of what not to do. So listen to Brooke now so that you don't turn into me. But, like they say, you turn your mess into your message. And so now I look at this as an opportunity to help other entrepreneur moms avoid the same struggles that I went through. So now I say I help entrepreneur moms calm the chaos and find balance and energy and joy and focus in their days so that they can be the mom that they want to be and the business owner that they want to be. So yeah, I am the poster child of what not to do. I had a photography studio, loved doing it for a long time, and then just started to kind of burn out. Didn't pay attention to the whispers that my body was giving me. And yeah, talking about going to the doctor, I went to my regular primary care and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling kind of depressed and I'm starting to skip periods. And at the time I was 41. And he's like, oh, let's run some labs, the same basic ones, I guess they do. And he came back and said, oh, you're low on vitamin D. Here's a prescription for vitamin D. Take that. And I'm like, okay. So I took that. Nothing ever happened because lo and behold, I did end up going to a functional medicine doctor and found out that my body was not able to absorb fats. And apparently vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So it was just basically passing right through me. So that is a great reason to go to a functional medicine doctor. But at the time I thought, okay, well, that didn't work. So I guess that's just not going to be the route that I go. Like the doctor can't help me. So I just kept on keeping on like you do because you're busy and you don't have time to fit something else in. And I ended up with, here, I have a list for you. Brain fog, weight gain, anxiety, depression. My immune system got so bad and I was under so much stress that when I tried to take a vacation, I got the shingles. And I'm like, okay, I'm like really old now because like that's an old person's disease, right? Like I was in my younger 40s. It's probably 41, 42. All of this happened, my early 40s. But ended up also with hormone imbalance and ended up being diagnosed with premature ovarian failure. So I went through early menopause as a result of stress and not taking care of myself. Don't be like me. So that is why it has become a passion of mine to teach other women like, oh, wait, hold on. Like you don't think you have time. You have to make the time. You have to make the time to take care of yourself. And that's my tagline that Amber was talking about. Take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself first. So then you can take care of business. So take care of you, then take care of business. And I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Let's see. Present. So first, I want to know what comes up for you. What emotions do you feel when I say that you should take care of yourself first? I know a lot of us are like, yeah, okay, sure, right? Like it just doesn't feel possible, right? I know when I first heard that I should take care of myself first, I think I laughed because I was just like, okay, right? Like that's for other people, that's not for me. But this is what I want to talk about, taking care of yourself first, because, see if I can get to my next. Because the world needs more of you. When you take care of yourself first, you are more patient with your kids, you're more present with your kids, and you can give them all of yourself when you're with them. And you have more energy and you're more resilient. Because let's be real, the stress is not going away. Stress is always going to be there. Teaching ourselves how to be more resilient to stress is where the key is. And when you feel good, you can be more productive, more focused, more energized, and more fun. You can be more fun. For me, when I started taking care of myself first, I found that I was more rested and more energized. I felt so much better. I was more present with my kids. I was more focused in my business, and I felt so much lighter, like less weighed down. And I was a more relaxed mom and wife, which made me a lot more fun to be around. Like I didn't feel like I had to walk, my husband didn't feel like he had to walk on eggshells around me anymore. So my marriage actually got better. And my kids are more independent and more empowered. And I have a lot less guilt, which all of the time we think so much like, oh, if I put myself first, that's selfish, and we feel guilty. But once you actually do this, you feel less guilty because you're a better mom. Who doesn't want to be a better mom, right? And I also felt a lot more confident in myself once I started taking care of myself. Your success depends on how you feel, because when you feel good, you do good. You do better when you feel better. So it really starts with self-care. Self-care is simply just honoring and nourishing ourselves. And it's not a Band-Aid that we slap on at the end of a long week. Okay, so you can't just get to Sunday and be like, oh, self-care time, let me go get my nails done. That's not how self-care works. Self-care has to be planned ahead. It has to be intentional and has to be ongoing. You can't just recover. Self-care isn't really about recovering. It's not slapping a Band-Aid on at the end of the week. Self-care has to be something that we do first to fill our cups. And I teach my clients, like, we don't just fill our cups. We fill our cups to overflowing, and we give from that overflow. So what I want you to think about is fill your cup first in the morning to overflowing as best you can. Give to the kids, give to the business from that overflow. And as you're dipping out of that cup, picture yourself filling it back up throughout the day. How do you do that? There we go. I want to teach you about reset rituals. These are just little pauses throughout the day. They can take as little as a minute, but they're meant to rejuvenate you and restore you so that you can keep going, so that you can keep filling that cup back up. Because as you give to your kids, as you give to your business, to your clients, to your partner, to whatever, every time you're doing that, you're dipping out of your cup. And you want to be refilling that up so that you're not empty at the end of the day. I remember so often I would just toast after dinner, right? Dinner's done, dishes are done, homework is done, and I'm just like, boom, on the couch. I have zero energy left. I have nothing left in the tank. And here are my kids at the end of their day, and they want to connect with you. They want to connect with their mom. And you don't have anything left for them. And they're the most important people, right? We say like, oh, I treasure my kids. I cherish the time that we have together. But if you're too exhausted and too depleted to enjoy that time with them, what are you really giving them? And what are we teaching them? So I want to give you some ideas of just some things that you can do to fill your cup throughout the day. And like I said, it doesn't have to be something big. It can be little as just savoring your favorite coffee or tea. It could be taking a moment, and I'm not talking about like escaping in the bathroom, hiding from the kids. That doesn't count. Hiding in the pantry and scarfing down a sleeve of Oreos. not counting. That's not that is not rejuvenating. It might feel good in the moment, but is doing more damage. But one of the things I really like to do is water my plants, because I can it's almost like a meditative experience. I can fill the watering can multiple times because I have a ton of plants. And I just go around and I look at my plants and I just love on them, and that's something that fills me up. It's something I enjoy doing. And it doesn't take that long, 5-10 minutes to go all over the house and water each plant and connect with something outside of myself that also fills me up. So what I want you to do is take a moment and just write down the things that you love to do. What are some things that fill that cup up? A lot of the things that drain the cup. What can you do that fills the cup up? And a lot of times, sometimes it's just rest. Just rest. Oops, I missed my rest slide. Oh, I'll have to tell you about rest because my rest slide disappeared. So rest is key also. And a lot of times we're just on the treadmill of hustle culture, and rest does not enter into the equation at all because there's just too much to do. But again, like self-care isn't something that's a Band-Aid you slap on at the end of a long day or a long week. Rest isn't something that we reward ourselves with. Rest isn't something that we earn. Rest is necessary. It's a part of it's a tool in our toolbox for being productive and focused and energized. And rest doesn't mean you have to lay down and take a nap. Rest can be just switching off from the activity that you're doing. So if, for example, you're working on PowerPoint slides for a presentation and you need a break, maybe you go for a walk. That's an active kind of rest. It's switching your brain off from what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of physical type labor, then maybe you rest and you do a crossword puzzle. But building those little bits in throughout your day is so, so key to keeping that cup filled up. Does that make sense? I feel like I keep repeating that. Fill your cup all day long. And I just want to, can I go on my, I have a soapbox. I'm going to go up on my soapbox because we resist self-care as a society because we tie our worth to our work, because we get caught up in the social media comparisons. We feel like we're never doing enough, that we're not accomplishing enough, that busy is what we need to be doing. And if we're resting, we're lazy. But self-care is for you. I think I've shown you that self-care can make you a better mom and it can make you a better business owner, but it has ripple effects out from that. We don't take care of ourselves because we're so busy taking care of everybody else. Like our kids, they're very well cared for, right? And we take really good care of our customers and our clients. But who takes care of you? Who takes care of you? We're depleted and we're overcommitted and we're exhausted and we're burned out. And are you even surprised? Because you're not taking care of you. And we don't think about self-care until it's too late, like me. Here I am in early menopause, and Brooke can tell you that puts me at greater risk for cardiovascular disease and osteoporosis and Alzheimer's, dementia. So now these are things that I have to actively work to avoid when I could have been taking better care of myself along the way and paying attention to those whispers. Oprah has a great saying where like the universe will give you a whisper. It'll whisper to you things that you need to learn. And if you don't listen, you'll get a brick upside the head. If you still don't listen, eventually you're going to hit a brick wall. And I hit a brick wall, and that brick wall included burnout, and it included a loss, like a loss of purpose, which is the worst. especially if you're a driven entrepreneur. Because when you can no longer be motivated or even care about what your work is, what do you have? What do you have left? And really is the saddest part to me when women don't feel like you've earned the rest or that you've earned the opportunity to recharge. Self-care must come first. And just imagine a world where women actually take care of themselves and treat themselves the same as they do their kids and their customers and their clients. Imagine if we show ourselves the love and the attention that we so freely give to everyone else. I really believe that if we as women take charge of this and start taking care of ourselves first, and we fill that cup and we keep it overflowing and we serve from that overflow, I really feel like we can heal the world. Because when a woman is empowered, she is strong and she can move mountains. Women get shit done. And women don't just keep that to themselves. When you feel good, you want to serve other people. When you feel good, you want to help other people. And it ripples out. It doesn't just affect your kids. All of a sudden now you're treating your kids' teachers better or their coaches. Your customers get the best of you, and all of a sudden that ripples out from them to their kids. So you can see how taking care of yourself doesn't just affect the people that are around you, it ripples out to the rest of the world. And it just starts with giving ourselves permission, letting go of that twinge of guilt that you might feel at first, and setting the intention to start taking care of yourself first. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks for the soapbox moment. And I want you to tap into the abundance. There is so much in this world to offer, and you only have to tap into it. You are enough. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of caring for yourself, and the world needs you at your best. So thank you.
Christy, you are awesome. If you want to go ahead and unshare, that way we can see your face. There you are.
Yay.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sitting over here as you're talking, and I'm like taking feverish little notes over here.
Oh, no.
I love your quote about, you said, fill your cup to overflowing and then give from your overflow. Because so often we hear about, it's like, well, you want to fill your cup, but then I'm like, but then constantly everybody is taking out of that. And, you know, I could almost, as you were talking about that, once dinner is done, you're just exhausted. And I can relate to that so much. Like every single night, by the time I get dinner done, it's like, I have accomplished everything throughout the day and I have nothing left to give. And when you said that, I can just imagine it. I'm looking here at my coffee cup, which is now empty. And I'm, you know, I kind of have this little like moment of, it's like, yeah, by the end of the day, there is nothing left in there. And, you know, I think my biggest struggle when I look at taking like check-in times throughout the day is I almost feel that guilt of, if I'm taking time for myself, I'm making everybody else wait. You know, like I'm making my clients wait a little bit longer to get whatever I need to do for them. If I'm taking time for myself, then I'm not doing, you know, whatever quick enough for my children or for my family, or I'm not doing this. And so that's always my complex, is I'm like, I don't have time to do it. But then if you think, you're like, no, you just make the time, you figure it out and you make the time and you make it happen. And I think that's truly the only time. I love that you're like, self-care is about scheduling. You have to schedule your self-care. And that was never something, you know, that really ever hit home with me until I started realizing how you give me an extra 10 minutes of my day and I will fill it up. It will be filled up with stupid things. It'll be playing on my phone, or, you know, doing things that are unimportant or unproductive, but aren't helping me and aren't helping anybody else. And so I love that. So I've now started writing in on my calendar, like, okay, what are the days that I'm going to go for a run in the mornings? And then you're like, oh, I got to wake up early, but that means I should go to bed a little bit earlier. And if you make time, it will happen. You make it just like an appointment that you make with your clients. You wouldn't stiff your clients on their appointments. So why are you stiffing yourself on an appointment with yourself? And that was one thing that hit home. Yes, I love it.
Yeah. And I think it's what you said, like the routine of it is where it really starts to become super, super effective. So if you can set up a morning routine, and it doesn't have to be like anybody else's morning routine, it's just made up of what fills your cup. And then, like you said, you have to think about, okay, if I want to get up early to do my morning routine, that starts the night before with going to bed at a decent time so that you can get the sleep. And then having these little rituals throughout the day really makes a huge difference. And there was the other day, I think I had to leave the house early, because one of the kids missed the bus, which could throw your whole day off, right?
Yeah.
I gotta do this and I gotta do this.
Your whole day.
Yeah. And so it got to like 3 o'clock, everything just kind of went sideways after that. And it got to 3 o'clock and I was like, you know what? No, I didn't get to do my morning ritual this morning because I had to drive that child to school. But that doesn't mean I can't do it right now. So I restarted my day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with my morning ritual. And so that way, and they walked in the door at like 3:45. But I was in a better place than where I would have been if I felt resentful and cheated out of what I want, how I thought my day should go, and just kind of burnt. It reset my mindset and my inner peace, really. And so then when they walked in the door, it was like, I was the kind of parent that I want to be, not the
one who's screaming. I have a quick example for you. Last week, both of my children are back in seated school, but I forgot that last Wednesday was asynchronous I have one in traditional and one in year round. And for my year round child, it was asynchronous. I completely forgot. I had a client session here in the studio at, first thing in the morning. And then I had several client meetings throughout the day. And then I also had tours of the new studio. And when I realized that we were supposed to have an asynchronous day, I freaked out. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do this? What are we supposed to do? And I immediately just went into freak out mode. And then I said, stop, wait. You planned for this. I literally built my own closed-in office at the studio so that I could bring her to work with me, so that I could feel that she had a safe place to sit and do her work while I worked on the other side of the studio. I was like, I know this. I prepared for this. Why am I freaking out? And then halfway through the day, we sit down and we have lunch together. And she says, Mom, I want to go see Miss Beth, which is a friend of ours who owns a shop down the street. And I was like, sitting here thinking, like, we don't have time for that. Like, I've got to get back to work. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. She's like, well, I just want to go for a walk. And I'm like, listen to the child, because she is smarter than you are. And we locked up the studio and went for a walk down the street, said hello to a friend, got a snack, came back. And I felt more energized because I took that 20 minutes to go for a walk and do a reset than I would have ever felt going straight back in front of my computer. I could have never been as productive as I was when I took the time to step away and reset. And I think, like you said, so many people don't realize that you have to take that time to reset. By, keep going and going and going and going is only going to bring you closer to burnout and closer to burnout and faster to burnout. But if you take that time along the way to reset, it brings you back. It brings you back to a place of reset, back to a place of focus, rather than getting to that end point where nobody wants to be. And we say that from experience.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's important to have a list of things. Write them down and stick them in your desk drawer or something. Like, here are things I can do when I'm overwhelmed.
I love it. Well, then it's a no-brainer. Then it's like, what can I do? I already have a list. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, well, we started a little bit late because we were too busy chatting it up this as soon as we jumped on earlier. Brooke had to jump off because she had a client right at 11 o'clock, which I told her, I said, don't worry, you can jump off at any time. So big thanks to Brooke for coming and helping. And Christy, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your vulnerability, coming and sharing your story. And a lot of times it's hard for us to share those stories of when we weren't perfect, or when we messed up, or when we truly hit the end and realized how bad we had messed up. But I love that you, like you said, you took your mess and turned it into your message. And I'm so thankful for you today.
Oh, and I do have a free guide for anybody that wants. I have a guide for better balance. Which self-care is just a small portion of what I do. It is an essential portion of it, but I do have a guide for 5 steps to better balance. And
where can we find that?
If you go to christyjohnson.com/links, it'll be like the first little link on that page.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go check that out.
So that. And then if anybody wanted to do a free clarity call to see if personalized coaching would be right for you, all around like work-life balance, productivity, optimizing your energy, figuring out how to get you focused, get more done in less time, and really just kind of reset. I think after this pandemic, I think we've all realized like emotional, spiritual, mental, physical health is so, so important. And if you're just kind of like, I don't even know where to begin, we can talk and figure out like, okay, let's get you, not back to normal, because I don't think normal is going to be a thing anymore, but we can do a new normal that can be even better.
I like the new normal. I think we should go for that. I like that one so much better. Awesome. Okay, definitely, Christy. I'm gonna go check that link out. I have my computer over here. I'm gonna type that in right now. But yes, thank you so much. So you guys, thank you for joining us today. I am just so blessed to be surrounded by so many women who are willing to just put it all out there on the line and be vulnerable and share their stories and share the life lessons they learn from them, that hopefully we can all learn a little bit and not put ourselves back in their same shoes. And listen to those cues that our body are giving us. So I'm really excited to continue the talk about mental health and self-care, and talking about, mental health and making sure that that's no longer the stigma that it has been for so long, that it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay not to have it be all together, and it's okay not to feel okay. That's what I always say. I'm like, it's okay to not be okay, as long as you do something about it. So I'm so excited to continue the conversations. We've got community chats, like I said. We have, if you go to vendraleigh.com/events, the next event for community chats is this Thursday, and that one's at 2 o'clock. Yes, on Thursday at 2 o'clock. We will post the link for the room on Clubhouse coming up, so be on the lookout for it. And if you are not on Clubhouse and want an invite, let us know. Between all of the leaders, we have a handful of invites that we are ready to pass out and share. So thank you guys all again for coming, and I have so dearly enjoyed being with you all today, and can't wait to talk again next time on Thursday for community chats. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.